Hi, y'all. I've been a little bit under the weather, but I still wanted to come and just share something that I've been doing recently. Well, it's been going on for a while, and like I'm big on journaling. I'm big on writing. I'm big on just basically collecting our thoughts somewhere. And I signed up for daily 52-day week writing prompts, and I was working on one of those today, and it was about grief. And you guys know that I've been a little bit rocky these few days, for a while. But one of the questions was about, if I would write a letter to someone, who would that be to, and what would I say? And I actually realized that I wanted to write a letter to my father. I lost my dad when I was about 19 years old, 18 actually. And it's ironically, it was the first time I left home, since the time I was a little girl. And I'd gone to another place, and my sister and I. And at that time, we didn't have cell phones or anything, and we'd gone like this spiritual lady, so she certainly didn't have any contact. Um, so by the time we came home, my family, they were walking out with a cross with my father's name on it, and you can imagine the shock that we had. And we never actually, he had come to the train station to see us off, but he'd come just a few minutes late, and the train was starting to take off, and he was trying to run towards us because he had a bag of goodies he wanted to give us. And and at that time, I just, in my heart, I felt something just snap, like a light went out. I literally felt a light go out. I got goosebumps when I'm talking about it, and I started crying. I started crying, like I could not control my crying, and I was just wailing, like, and I was 18, like I'm a teenager, but I just could not control my grief at that time. So I guess my soul, I knew at a soul level that it would be the last time I would see him alive. And that image of him running towards us in the train is something I'll never, ever forget. Um, so I was writing, so my letter was to him, and I was kind of, talking about. Do you guys know what an amazing man he was? I mean, this uncovered like some of those hidden memories in me that, like I hadn't actually addressed, I hadn't talked about. And one of those was, when we were growing up, we were pretty poor. We came from a wealthy family, but our, family feuds and all of our wealth was under litigation. And my father didn't understand the language of that city we were living in, and he was duped like only 1,000 times. He was such a simple-minded person, not simple-minded, not in a negative sense, but he was trusting. Um, so I remembered this one incident. You know, he was um, this is a hard one to talk about, but at that time, like we were struggling, really struggling, and he had gone out to get food for us, and and I remembered his shoes, and his shoes had holes the size of craters under his shoes, and he used to try to repair them sometimes, and I would see him, like with the kerosene lamp and taking all kinds of rubber and all and trying to fix his shoes. And he was walking, and at that time there was a huge rain, and it flooded. The whole city got flooded, and he was at the other end of the city. He had no money to even get on a bus, and of course the buses couldn't have worked. Most likely, I don't know if he could have even gone on a bus. So he bought each of us. We were four siblings, my mom, him, and we had a dog and a cat. And he bought us all a small piece of dried bread. It was called varki in India. It's like a dried crust, and he had that in his bag, and he was holding the bag up on top like that, and he walked through the flood to come home to us, and so that we could have that bread. And I just suddenly remembered that, and we had tons of fun memories too. He was just such an amazing man. he would take us out on trips. He was part Portuguese, part English. His great grandfather was his grandfather was Portuguese, his grandmother was English, and his father married a half Indian, half English woman, and he married my mother, who's from Sikkim. So we had quite some mixed blood, huh? Anyway, like, so his lifestyle, he was not always that poor, like he had a very good lifestyle before, and so he wanted us to taste that, and so he would make it happen for us. He would tell us the stories. He could just, you know, he was such a good storyteller, and he would tell us stories about Tin Man and Phantom and Thompson, and oh my goodness me, our childhood was colored. We couldn't wait for him to come home so that he could tell us the stories, and he can imagine how tired he was, but we'd all snuggle up, and and he would tell us those tales, and my heart was just so full with all of these things. And one other thing I wanted to share was he he was such a good baker. Like, his mother, she was very, very good at baking, and she left us a handwritten like a recipe book that my sister-in-law would refuse to give us. That's a different story. But so he could bake anything, and we had this old tin oven. It was like a rusted also rusted tin oven. It had a little hole at the bottom, and then we would have to put that oven on a stove, and that's how we would bake stuff. And so for every Christmas, every festival, like, he would bake us cakes, and especially when it was a birthday, he would say, "What kind of cake do you want?" We could say anything under the sun, and he could make us that cake. Like, his famous one was the ribbon cake, and he would make, like, he'd put colors, and of course, like, we were all beating eggs with our hands, and we had this stone, and with the I forget what it's called, and we'd have to grate the sugar and make it into fine powder, and everything was made from scratch. The butter too, like, we had to just really just beat it up. Oh my goodness me. So yeah, he would dance with us. He's very, very good at foxtrot and all kind of jives and ballroom dancing. And he was such a good guitarist. Maybe someday I'll post a video of him playing his guitar. He was, he was he was an extraordinary man, and I'd forgotten because it was so deeply embedded in my brain, and I did not think about any of these things for a long time. And writing that letter to him just brought out all of these memories and all of these beautiful thoughts. And I also realized um, that I didn't acknowledge it enough. I did not even thank him enough for that. And so writing him a letter gave me an opportunity to do that. So I want to encourage you guys, if there is anyone in your life that you love so deeply, or you've lost and you've not had a chance to say goodbye to, they're on the other side. As a Baha'i, I truly believe that, and I actually had experiences with my mother. I know, like, I'll share that another day, but I know that people, that this, our souls live on, and like, just like when we are in our mother's belly, we have all of the faculties that we need for this earth. Those are potential; they're there, but we don't use them in the belly. We use them. We need them here, so it's better that we develop them while we can. And the same thing is with regards to our soul's journey on this earth. We are here to develop as much potential as we can to prepare us to go to the next part of our journey. And I am sure there are other, in the Hindu scriptures and the Bible, and all of those. But if you want to explore what the Baha'i writings say about it, there's a ton on it. So anyway, thank you for listening, and I thank you for sharing, allowing me to share my father's memories with you guys. His name was Carol Fernandez. His mom, and like, his parents wanted a baby girl. They got a baby boy, and so they named him Carol. It's a single L. Bye.